Welcome to
Tamarindo Podcast.
Hosted by me, Brenda Gonzalez, a fitness coach, political nerd, and nonprofit capacity builder.
And me, Delsy Sandoval, a Guatemalan-American licensed therapist and passionate creativity advocate. Together, we're here to uplift our community through powerful conversations with changemakers, creatives, and healers.
Each week on the pod, we talk politics, culture, and personal development. Listeners call Tamarindo the Advocacy and Self-Love Podcast. Vámonos! Let's start the show! All right, welcome everybody to Tamarindo. It's so wonderful to be here at Cal State LA in front of a live audience. So, live audience, can you say hi, cheer?
Yay!
All right, love that, love that. Okay, so today we are going to invite our guests to be part of the entire conversation. So we have Emmy-nominated actor, producer, and writer Richard Cabral. He's going to join us for the entirety of our conversation. So welcome, Richard. It's so wonderful to officially welcome you to Tamarindo.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you both.
Yes, welcome, welcome. All right, so something that we do whenever we start our conversations is we do a temperature check. And even though I'm putting a lot of energy to my voice right now, I want to acknowledge that we're recording the day after a pivotal election. I'm going to say that sentence over. We are recording the day after a pivotal election, and I know that it's a very heavy moment for a lot of us, so I want to hold some space and recognize that feeling. And what we always do is we like to start by just doing a temperature check. So how are you feeling, Richard?
I'm feeling great today. I'm feeling good. I mean, yeah, another day breathing air and, you know, being able to love my children. I think that it's a good day for me. And my wife. Can't forget about my wife.
No,
you know?
you can't.
I love that. I love that positivity. You know, one of the things that's interesting about this show is that every introduction, we try to really have a moment with one another because there's something so beautiful about holding space during a podcast. This is a recorded moment in time that we get to archive. And so I really appreciate you kind of bringing in that positivity on such a day where so many of us are feeling a little bit alarmed. To be quite frank.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I don't want to get too much into my story right now, but I was incarcerated for a very long time, right? So I feel that if I could go through all those dark times, and there's really nothing that I can't go through out here. So, and I know it's not everybody's point of view, but it's that, like, you know, we're going to get through this, right? And I think things like this, we're going to get through this together. You know, that's really my hopes and my aspirations.
I appreciate that. And for my own Que Pasa, which is what we call this segment, I think I feel very similar to you. I think people have different like mourning periods, or they have different periods of time where they need the time to contemplate what they've experienced or processed. For me, that moment was very quickly. I was upset maybe this morning. And then immediately I started thinking about like, this is the time to organize, right? This is the time to start thinking about what I want for the next 4 years of my life and how I'm going to take action and feel a sense of community in moments like this.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm also feeling a little bit in high spirits, especially coming here in front of y'all. I'm going to turn it over to you, Brenda. When you're hearing all of this, what is your reaction? ¿Qué pasa?
Well, I really appreciated hearing from you, Richard, exactly what you just said. It's like, it really puts things into perspective. Like, a lot of us are feeling, I want to acknowledge the feelings of dread and, you know, mourning that we felt today. But I have felt a little bit of comfort in knowing that, like, when you take measure and take stock of what you have and where we are, we're in California, we're in Los Angeles, you know, there's a lot to be grateful for. And we've been here before, and the country has been in worse situations. We've overcome worse. And so the thought of resilience, which I know is the name of your podcast, kind of comes to mind in thinking about that. It's just like tapping into that resilience. And the other thing that's timely is thinking about the arts. Like, now more than ever is when we need the arts. We need the arts, and it's really quite wonderful that we get to speak to a creative person here today, because that's truly, it's in these moments that we really turn to the arts and to the creativity outlets and all that. So actually, I want to transition to telling us a little bit about your journey and how you got into acting.
Right. So I'm originally from East Los Angeles. My grandparents are from Mexico, right? My dad was born in Zacatecas, Mexico, and my abuelita came from San Luis Potosí. So they migrated here probably in the 1950s. And so my mom was born here, but I think like a lot of low-income communities, brown and black communities in Los Angeles, but also across the nation, right? When you come to these communities, there's a lot of stuff that happens in these low-income communities. So my family has endured alcoholism for a couple generations, and I think that was kind of like my mom truly endured that, and that kind of altered, or maybe that's what had to happen, of how my life would come to be, right? My family is, again, from East LA, so they've been involved in gangs since the 1970s. My uncles were from the Estrada projects. So by the time I was born, you know, the alcoholism, I think, really traumatized my mother and all my other uncles and aunts. So my dad would leave, and I think really like my life was hard. I don't know how else to really say it. As a young child, my dad left at 2. So with a single mother still dealing with her demons, you know, I endured, and I seen a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't have. And that kind of just put me on my course of life, which would be at 13 years old, I would start my incarceration. Right? And I didn't have no brothers or sisters, so I say that because like it's like when we have to go through stuff as a child, you know, and it's messed up regardless, but when you have to go through it alone, I think there's another layer to it. So at 13 years old, I started my incarceration, and so from 14, my bad, from 14 to 27, I was incarcerated. And I always like to stop right there, because like I think before I would just like just run through it, but like I was incarcerated from when I was 14 till I was 27, right? And so like that just altered everything. Like, you know, oh, what's your happy moments? Was there? Like, I don't know, right? I can't really call it, right? I don't know what it is to have a positive I didn't have positive high school. I didn't have like high school. I didn't do the prom. I didn't do none of that, right? That's not real to me. I understand it from afar, but like I don't know what that is. And that was really my life at 20. But at 20 years old, I think my life truly changed. I shot another gang member in East Los Angeles, and I was fighting 35 years to life. So for this gang-related shooting, and through the grace of God, I only got 5 years in prison, and I would come out when I was 27. So that's pretty much like the foundation of what is to happen. So yeah, I don't know if you wanna.
Well, how did and thank you so much for giving us that context. And at what point did the arts come in? Did the journey to acting?
For sure. And I think speaking as an artist, right? You're always, I think God gifts you what He gifts you, and if you don't know how to tap in, then you just don't know how to tap in, right? Or you didn't have the parents to help you find that gift as an artist. But I believe that's what God gave me as a very young child. When I was sitting in jail, I think that's when it really spoke to me. And it was like, in jail, you're really gonna find out what you like and what you're good at, right? And I can't draw, I can't sing, but I remember sitting in that cell as a 15-year-old kid, and there was a pen and a paper in front of me, and it was like free time, right? So I picked up the pen and I started writing a poem to my girlfriend, right? And it was like, and then as an artist, right, no matter what you do, you're insecure, period, right? Especially if you come from communities where the arts are not instilled, right? You do it, but you're like, is it even good? Can I even share? And then I remember like hitting one of the homies, you know? I was like, hey, I wrote a poem. You want to check it out? And then he was like, yeah. And so I read it to him. And then it was like that moment, dun, 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 right? And then I was like, damn, did it suck that bad? He ain't say nothing, right? And he was like, can you write one for my girlfriend?
Oh, wow. That's a 5-star review.
That's it, right? I was like, yeah, bro, I got you. And then like, yeah, that would, I think that's the seed. And after that, I would do music, right? Because in the hood, you think that art is rap or whatever it is, right? You're just and I would do music, but it wasn't until I got out of prison that that I think I really understood what I was. And so it was the TV show Southland. I was working at Homeboy Industries. For those that don't know what Homeboy Industries is, it's the biggest nonprofit gang organization in the world, started by Father Greg Boyle over 30-something years ago. And so I was working in the bakery, and Christopher Sholak of Southland, that's the Regina King was on it, Ben McKenzie. This was like 10 years ago. And so they came. They wanted gang members. They wanted cholos, right? So they're like, "Hey, do you guys are you guys down to come, to audition?" And so like 10 of us raised our hand, and so we all went to Warner Brothers Studios and we auditioned, and they picked me. Like that, I got the part, right? And I think that was really the spark, because I mean, like for me, I think that like just seeing. There's not many people that I relate to on television, right? It was Eddie Olmos, or especially Danny Trejo. Like I remember reading Danny Trejo's story in prison, though, and I remember it was that like, if he could do it, I could do it, right? But you still don't know how that's gonna happen, and how it happened was in the bakery with Southland, and at that moment I was like, if these guys could believe in me, then how can I not believe in myself? And so that was really like when it, boom, the light bulb went off. But I knew it was more than that, because I was already 27. I'm a grown man already. I already have 2 kids. But I knew that if I wanted for it to be serious and for it to like really transcend, or for me to see if I'm good, I had to go all out. So I told Father Greg, I was like, at that time I was in the bakery and I was going for culinary arts. And I was like, "Hey, G, I think I want to try to do this acting stuff, right?" And he was like, "Whatever you want, mijo, like, we got you." So they helped me find an acting class and pay for my tuition as an actor. And really, when I got into scene study and I really started understanding the craft of an actor, that's when everything truly, switched for me. And here I am today.
Mm-hmm. I want to go that direction. Let's talk a little bit about that craft. I'd love to dive into your creative process. When you get the script, when you get to know the character, you have so much depth to your story. How do you use your own experience to add dimension to your character?
Right, and I think I think what a lot of people miss in the performing arts part, in the acting part, in the filmmaking, especially on our side, is the craft of an actor, right? And I think for some reason I was like, okay, I want to understand it, but like I need to understand. I want to understand it fully. So I just kept on going, like, yeah, I'm reading scene study, but like, where did they get there? Like, who taught you, and who taught you, and who taught you? And so boom, now I'm on the journey of learning where Meryl Streep and Al Pacino's, and like. And the deeper you get, like I just think the deeper the craft gets, really, right? And we think of Hollywood and we think that that's the beginning of this, right? Because we live here, but the craft of acting, the craft of theater is thousands of years old. That's just what it is, right? Greece and just Italy, like they had amphitheaters, right, where people performed, and like 1,000 years later, we're still doing the same thing. So I think it was like not being afraid to go deep, right? And the more you ask, the more you want to know about the craft, the more it will speak to you. But for me, just to get specifically about the characters, right? It's never judging my characters. Let me just start there, right? And obviously, I always I came in as the bad guy, and I got nominated for an Emmy for the bad guy, and people are like blown away, and like, because like it's not on a regular where people get nominated for portraying the bad guy, especially in the Latino community. But I think it's, for me, you never judge him, and for a bad guy, how did he get there? Every child is born innocent. Let me start there. Every child is born innocent, but because the circumstances, because of the things that will happen, that is how, he forms into what he forms. So it's always just never judging them, and then just always doing as much as I can, whether it's music, whether it's going to the city that they're from, and so it's just digging and digging.
So that's how you immerse yourself in these roles, and these characters.
Really, yeah. That's and I believe that everybody of the greats does a sense of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think something that's very timely about the characters that you portray and the crafts that you lead is that it seems so urgent, especially right now when there is, you talked about Father Boy, we talked about Homeboy Industries. There's, in addition to the general election, here in California, there was a lot of loss on the justice reform efforts. So it seems incredibly urgent to have more characters like the ones that you portray, to have more roles like the roles that you play, that give some dimension, that humanize these very real people that are part of our communities.
Correct.
Yeah, I think Brenda makes a really good point regarding kind of the need for these characters to be out in the world. What has been your experience from the fan base for people who are experiencing these characters that you've played?
Right. I think there's a couple aspects of it, and I think one of the biggest things for me is I've been in contact with the guys. I never truly left the community. I never truly left the relationships that I had with my friends, right? And as Father Greg says, there is no hopeful child that becomes a gang member, and for me, it's having the calls from the guys, and then being able to see me, in prison, guys that I did time with, like. And it's so there's that aspect of it, like them seeing themselves different, right? Them seeing me on TV and being like, damn, like that was crazy. I was on the yard with this dude, and now he's just on regular TV. So that's just something I can't really even put words on it, but it's that, right? Because people are just demonized for mistakes, but who hasn't made a mistake in life? And so to be able to give blood and to give a story and to honor these people, right? It's something that, like, we live in this bubble of wherever we're at. Like, we're in Los Angeles, Southern California, but I've been blessed to travel, right? And when I was just in Chicago, and they're like, bro, I rock with you, bro. Like, I'm in New York, hey, bro, I rock with you. And like, you're just like, damn, like it's like the arts, right? Like, little did I know, like, I was just trying to be a good actor. I was just trying to, make sure I don't get fired from the job. And little did I know that. And like, yeah, I mean, you hear stories like, my mom was dying of cancer, and that your show was the last show that we watched together. So it's like these, it's something that I think even words can't really, justify, but it moves, the art moves, and these characters move, and that's why I will continue to want to do work like this. And it's not easy, right? Like, and that you take on a lot of, like, demons, I guess, right? Sometimes, and you have to find ways to, like, rid yourself of these characters. But when you truly honor it, like, you move people in ways that you never thought you would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really like you talking about sort of honoring the craft and the challenges that come with it, because you're about to take on a pretty large challenge, which is to debut Time Alone, which is a theater production that was written by Academy Award nominated Alessandro Camon. Can you tell us a little bit about the play and what people can expect?
I always mess up, right? Because I'm so, like, it's a two-hander, first of all, right? And then it's me and another amazing actress, Candice, that it's all on our shoulders, and there's a lot of words, right? So I'm just trying to, like, just really being able to focus on it, but I'll just read a little bit. Time Alone traces the parallel journeys of a young man convicted of killing a gang rival and a woman whose son, a police officer, is murdered in the line of duty. Both end up in places of extreme loneliness, a solitary confinement prison cell, and the silent house of her. As time itself seems to unravel, their tales both contrast and mirror each other, providing answers to each other's questions until they find new doors to life.
Wow.
So it says it better than I could have.
Tell me a little bit about what it was like to prepare for a monologue like that, and what it's been like to even read through this.
Like, honestly, like, it's every project. For it to be your greatest, you must feel it, right? You must give it that energy. This is gonna be my greatest performance, and everything that I do, I go in like that. Even in rehearsals, it's not like, this is not a rehearsal. I am gonna give my all in order to find out what's. But honestly, this, like, I've worked with amazing, directors. I've done a one-man show. I've from indie films to big, to franchise films. But, like, this character is like, it brings in so much that no matter what I've done in my career, that it has never fulfilled. and it is me, right? It just, I can't, like, it's that, like, I and me and Alessandro, he didn't write this with me. He found me after it was already written, and I couldn't do it at the time because I was doing Mayans on FX, and but if something is supposed to be yours, it will find you no matter what. And I think here I am, like, but it is heavy, right? But and I know that's why, and especially right now where we're at, like, and we're prison, laws getting probably more, strong, just, I mean, for things, what we don't know what's gonna be up ahead of us. That's just the reality. But I feel a piece like this is more needed than any time before.
100%, absolutely, and just being able to see the what connects these very distinct characters.
Yeah,
so I think it'll be a magical experience to be able to see both of these performances and these monologues, and having this dialogue between such, who in our mind we are programmed to think could never connect.
Yeah, and then it's also like after the pandemic, right? Like, we have been so removed from humanity, right? We connect with humanity like over phones or over a screen, but like, it's little do we know we're all going through the same stuff, right? And for this one, it's pain is the great equalizer, right? We're all like, and I think, but when you put it together, and then you're able to have a real conversation, because if you're just bickering back and forth, then there's gonna be no way of really figuring it out. But when you're truly just here, and that's why I think the theater is one of the most sacred, special places, right? When I get up there, it's like that is the church, and we are the pastors, we are the priest up there. And if you go back to the origin of the theater, that's kind of, I mean, there would be revolts, right? They would shut down plays and Shakespeare plays in England. So I think it's that powerful, and really like I'm just so glad that I'm doing theater again, right? Because we're in Hollywood, right? People like, oh, I'm an actor. Like, are you what? Just because you know how to do scene study, you can. I'm not knocking it, right? But I think like you if you want to become an actor, you must, if not do it, at least honor it and know where it comes from.
Wow, it makes me very excited to be able to see that play that's coming up, which, by the way, our live audience today is the 3 winners will be taking some free tickets to be able to see it. But if you're not a winner, we hope that you support and buy tickets anyways. Now, finally, because our audience here, they're taking a podcasting class, and you kind of talked about the need for, human connection. I think one of the little known benefits of having a podcast is that you have these very intimate conversations, and that seems so rare. Like, truly to just sit down with someone and get to talk to them this deeply is one of the wonderful experiences of having this space here. So talk to us a little bit about your podcast, Resilience. What is what is it about? What do you hope to accomplish with it? What has it been like for you?
Right. So for me, getting into the podcast space, I got to give a shout out to my boy John Bernthal, the Real Ones podcast. And so, like, I do interviews all the time, right? Well, I mean, I'm very selective on who I open myself up to. But we had a conversation, and like I was just real with them, and like a lot of things came out of that conversation that I didn't know was gonna move people, right? And we're living in a different time, like TikTok, social media, like people get their information more on these spaces than they do, and others. So like I didn't really know the impact of that interview on that podcast. And I remember just like hey, I watched your stuff, bro. I'm over here. I see you, and like I'm just real, as you know. Like it is what it is, and that's how I am no matter where I am. And I was like, damn, like I'm over here, busting my ass, in Hollywood and trying to get my profile up and trying to spread the message out there. But this podcasting is kind of like, it opens up doors that I didn't know. So it was really, that was like the entrance of it. And then I was like, well, I want to talk resilience, right? That word kind of just like pushed it too, because I believe that no matter who you are, where you come from, like if you are living and breathing, and if you are trying to do something, you have a resilience. There's a story of resilience in you, right? And so that was really and also like I wanted people to know who I really am, right? Like when people see me from whatever they have just this whatever the feed gives them, but like I'm not just this guy from this movie or television, right? I love art. I love I have a spiritual side of me. I talk to kids in prison, right? So I think really the podcast space was an entrance for it, and yeah, that's how I got into it.
Yeah, and I've enjoyed listening to a few episodes and truly like become new fans of people that I had not known about before.
Yeah.
So it's been really great. And well, I'm going to pass it over to Delsy to show you how we close our conversations.
Richard, thank you so much for just being so open and for this conversation that I'm really enjoying. I want to walk you through kind of a fun part of Tamarindo. It can be. At the end of each show, we like to ask each other rapid fire questions. And so today we're going to ask you rapid fire questions. First thing that comes to mind. So we're going to start with a segment called Matracas. Matraca is something that you want to give a shout out to, something you're excited about.
All right. Well, that's my play for sure. Yeah. I'm excited about my play. So yeah. So it's happening next Friday and Saturday. We got 3 shows. So yeah, I'm truly excited about this play and performance.
Yes, and we'll include all the details for that in the details of this episode, and we will continue to share it with our audience. So.
Yes, and I will be there. And I will be there to watch.
Yes.
Okay. Y ahora, what we talk about next is basura. So basura is something that needs to go in the trash, something that we're sick of, something we don't care for anymore.
I think that's carrying people's baggage, their spiritual baggage, that you don't have to carry it no more. Right? Yeah. And it took me a long time to realize that, and I still struggle. Like, nah, I'm not your spiritual trash can. So that could go in the trash. Like,
wow, Richard, you know my life.
I'm dropping it right now.
I'm not your I need that on a shirt. I'm not your spiritual trash can.
Yeah, I'm not your spiritual can.
No more psychic vampires today.
Yes.
Okay, in the último, we talk about inspiración. So what is giving you life? What's making you thrive right now?
It's the arts. It's the theater, right? Honestly, when I step into that space, like, I love film and television, but there's something about that theater, right? There's something that it just like all the air comes out. So that is what's really pushing me, and I'm in rehearsals every day for hours at a time, but it just keeps on recharging me like that.
Richard, thank you so much for sharing space with us, for sharing space with Tamarindo audiences and with the live audience here at Cal State LA.
Yes, let's give a round of applause, y'all. And we feel extra special since you said you don't open yourself up to just anyone. So thank you so much. That was wonderful to talk to you. Tamarindo Podcast is Brenda Gonzalez and Delsy Sandoval. We are also the show's executive producers. Jeff Ricards wrote our theme song. Sonoro Media's Karina Riveroll provides production support, and Cliva Torres edits our episodes for YouTube. The best way to support our work is to rate and review Tamarindo or share an episode with a friend. Get in touch with us at tamarindopodcast.com.